Hello everyone and welcome to another beer review. Now, today we're back on the Belgian series because I've really got to get through some of these beers because I've got quite a few of them and some have been sitting in the fridge for weeks now. And they're the high alcohol kind of versions, so you know. The problem is though, like what I like to do is maybe do 2 or 3 beer reviews, together as a group. And of course, it's a bit difficult if your beers that you're drinking are 10.5% and things like that. So it's a bit heavy going. Because the problem is, so you drink beers to review, and then you might want a beer later on to sit there and enjoy. And the problem is, if you've got quite a lot of alcohol in the reviews, you're like, I don't really fancy one now. So it's that type of thing. And of course, people think, yeah, if you're doing beer reviews, that's fine, but as you've probably seen recently, I've not had the best of runs for quality-wise and beers that are quite good. So I've had quite a few crappy beers, and that's the problem. Because until you basically taste it, you don't know what it's really going to be like, and you're thinking, oh, this is rubbish. So anyway, I'm digressing again, like I always do. But enough of the tangents. We need to get onto these Belgian beers and get them done, and get them all kind of out the way, ready for what's going to be happening in the winter, because winter isn't far away. We're getting near the end of autumn, so we are. Because this is now getting into late October, so anyway. But today we're going to be doing what's known as a high fermented blonde from Belgium. So it's from the Piraat, and this is a high alcohol blonde, so it is. And there is some spill on the back. Just practicing for the. So what does it say? So again, this is from the Van Steenberg Brewery, and so what it basically says is this high fermentation blonde beer enhanced with secondary fermentation has a full hearty aroma, a perfect bittersweet balance, and a pleasant aftertaste. So there we go, and it's 330ml. I think it's roughly about £3, between £2.50 £3, and it's 10.5%. Still mucking about. There you go. Get that down your neck, son. 10.5%. No pissing about this one. A real McCoy, as they say. So yes, and the Van Steenberg Brewery is quite a well-known one. They do quite a few different things, and they do the Golden Drach or the Golden Dragon. So let's crack this. I'm a little horsey now. Oh, so let's crack it open and get it poured. There we go. Look at it, it's coming out like treacle. There we go. Oh shit. I don't know, I'm not having much luck with Belgian beers. I've got ones there that were left over from previous reviews because I had to buy 4-packs to actually get them to do the review. So I've been trying to kind of work my way through them just as a kind of enjoyment factor. And near every single one, it's pissed everywhere. Every one I've cracked open, Jesus, it's been wiping it off the ceiling and everything. You're thinking, what the hell? Even the wife's thinking, they don't like you. So there you go. Right, so let's get this poured. Jesus. Now we get this in a Belgian pub. Jesus. Daddy's home. Get that, look, you're bloody flaking that, look. Getting absolute. Oh, jeez, it's getting pissed in the side now. Look, I've got a mushroom. Oh, balls. Right, try and get it back in. Jesus. Well, I know what the foam tastes like. Jesus, hand sanitising, bloody beer foam. Beautiful mix there, boys and girls. Beautiful mix, huh? Yeah. Jesus. Anyway, as you can see, it's a bit cloudy. It's a bit cloudy. Jesus, look at it, it's pissing everywhere. Anyway, the wife's out, so hopefully I get a chance to clear it up before she comes. But I might not have bought my arse and she just have it as a gift. There you go. Thirsty love? Well, look at the table. So there we go. As you can see, it's a bit cloudy. The smell, I'm getting grain. And I'm getting light malt sweetness as well. Light malt sweetness, grain, maltiness, kind of like what we call the kind of slightly Ovaltine. If you open up the jar of Ovaltine, you're getting that kind of smell. And people that don't know what Ovaltine is a kind of a malt drink. You get hot chocolate, where you can get also quite popular in the UK. What it used to be was a hot malty drink, which basically, imagine drinking chocolate. Well, Ovaltine was a kind of like a drinking chocolate, but based on malt. It was a malted kind of, so you basically mix it with hot milk. Why the hell am I going into this? We're talking about bloody beer, and there you go. I'm giving you a recipe of how to have basically a hot malted drink. What the hell? But anyway, it was quite popular, and the popular brand was Ovaltine. And if you basically pop open a jar of Ovaltine and give it a good, then it smells a bit like this, but without the alcohol, unfortunately. So yeah, maybe a slight salsa smell, slight kind of acidity to it. Yeah, I would say so. So, shall we get wired in? Oh, bloody hell. Oh, oh, bloody hell. Oh, well, the flavour and the alcohol is there in abundance. Oh, my God. Take a blonde. Oof, this one's on steroids. Oh, right. A normal Belgian blonde is nice and kind of easy drink. You get the kind of the Lef and similar kind of Belgian blondes like that, and kind of lighter kind of doubles, and maybe even the lighter end of the triple scale. But no, this is the adult drink. This one, bloody hell. I mean, it's nice, but you just imagine just like some of these flavours that you get, they're kind of concentrated in this format. So, your first sip with the alcohol as well. It's a bit of a culture shock. That's what it is. It's a bit of a wake up the taste buds, and make the eyes water. So, yeah. Right. I'm getting an alcohol finish there, just at the back of the mouth there. I'm just getting a little bit of alcohol vapour, just It's naughty. It's very naughty, this. So it is. Dreadful, so it is. So let's break down the flavours. Right. There is that alcohol there. Alcohol is more noticeable in this than I think the last one we did in the Belgian series was the dark red triple, which was lovely, absolutely lovely, but with the same alcohol content. But with this one, because it doesn't have the strong malty flavours and everything else, the alcohol has got nothing to really kind of mask it. So the alcohol is playing more of a part in this beer than it was in the dark red triple, because the malt played a big part. And one of the great things about malt is it does tend to kind of mask any kind of negativity from high alcohol beers. And this one, of course, it's a little lighter malt because it's a blonde. And yeah, the alcohol kind of effect is probably more noticeable. I mean, I'm not saying quite a bit more noticeable, especially in the kind of aftertaste. So let's kind of break it down. It's quite hard actually, because the alcohol is actually slightly interfering with it a bit. Right, you're starting off with some nice malty sweetness. It's just nice. And just a little hint of grain. And that's what you're getting in the front. But you're also getting a little accent of alcohol. You're just getting that little accent of alcohol. Moves on to the kind of mid-tongue. And again, you've still got this underlying malty sweetness. It's starting to kind of taper off a bit, but it's still there, still nice. More kind of grainy flavours are coming through now. And you're getting some nice kind of grain flavours. But again, you've still got this little underlying kind of alcohol effect there as well. And it's just taking the edge off each flavour. So the grain flavour, the malt flavour, just taking that slight edge off it and just giving a kind of a, how would you say, a kind of a, it's leaving an accent on these flavours. So these flavours aren't as clean as they would normally be if it was a lower alcohol beer. But because of this higher alcohol, it does leave a kind of slight kind of alcohol accent to the flavours and just taking that edge off them. Which is a shame. I mean, this is the problem. I mean, just the balance just isn't quite right there. Just isn't quite right. And then we move on to the aftertaste, and this is the bombshell. Oh, this is the bomb scare one, this bit. Right. Oh, God. And you move on to the aftertaste. And you've still got the light malty sweetness. And the grain is just kind of coming into it, and it's starting to kind of dissipate. So the two of them are starting to kind of dissipate together, and they're working quite nice together when they're dissipating. And there's a slight acidity there, just ever so slight acidity, kind of like salsa, which is just giving a nicer kind of finish. It's just giving a little bit more interesting to the finish. It's not just a kind of like, oh, it's going from the mid-tongue to the aftertaste, it just kind of dissipates and it's the same flavours. No, just with that slight kind of acidity, that slight salsa is just kind of accentuating, between the flavours, and it's just giving it a bit more interesting. So it's like a slightly new highlight coming through. It's quite nice. The problem is, though, as that starts to dissipate, the alcohol kind of effect is coming over the top of it. So of course, as it's kind of dissipating these flavours, the alcohol's still there and it's getting stronger and stronger. It's not actually getting stronger, it's just the other flavours are starting to kind of die down and dissipate, and the alcohol is still there, sitting there, and it's giving a kind of slightly vapour feel to it, plus also a slightly bitter, sour feel to it as well. You know, if you get to drink vodka and you do get that kind of slightly sour bitterness to some of the vodkas you get, it's a bit like that. And it really is, it gets to a point where it's actually killing the aftertaste and moving on to kind of the realms of unpleasant. And that's disappointing. So it is. And that's the problem. For doing high alcohol yields and lighter beers, the alcohol has more of an effect. That's why the majority of kind of stronger, high yield alcohol fermentation brews are usually what's known as traditional dark brews, malt forward, that type of stuff. Something with a lot of body to be able to cope with that. When you start having lighter bodies, then of course the alcohol effect does have more of an effect on the actual flavours and the actual drinkability of the beer. It's a lot more noticeable, in other words, and usually in a negative way, not in a positive way. I mean, it's amazing how these two beers that we had was the Dark Red Triple, whereas they're both exactly the same and the alcohol just didn't play a part in it at all, because the beer and its flavours were so robust that they were stronger and more powerful than any alcohol effect. So the alcohol just didn't have any chance to kind of affect how the flavours were reacting and things like that. You didn't notice it at all, really. And with this one, you're noticing it too much. which is a bad thing. I mean, it's a nice beer, and you can taste the core flavours, and they really are nice. But unfortunately, some of the flavours are being spoiled, and especially the aftertaste is being spoiled because it's a high alcohol, it's a high yield fermentation, and that's a bit disappointing. So, what would I mark this out of 10? See when I'm taking that breath in? That's because I am trying to kind of lessen the alcohol, because the alcohol just sits there. And I'm trying to kind of vent it out my mouth. So it is. It's a shame, because it's just too much, unfortunately. I can see what they're trying to do, but you've got to understand is it's all to do with your foundations. There's no point in doing high fermentation if your base foundation is going to deliver flavour profiles that can't kind of compete, really. And unfortunately, the alcohol it's too powerful for the base flavours, unfortunately. I mean, it's a nice beer, it's beautifully brewed, you can see how it's reacting, it's just lacing the glass, it's lovely. The flavours are there, they're nice, but just the alcohol, just that bit too much. You bastard, if it was maybe down to maybe a 7%, maybe 7.5%, but I think 10.5% is just a step too far for this to really make it kind of drinkable and enjoyable. So on that basis, out of 10, normally, if this had been maybe about a 7.5%, I would have probably given this about an 8. I mean, it really is a nicely brewed beer. But because of the alcohol effect on it, and it's really affecting the flavours and the drinkability, I've got to take it down to a 6. I mean, it's a nicely brewed beer. It's just a shame that the alcohol is just playing too much of a part, and it's in a negative way. So yes, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. But overall, it is a nice beer. And maybe some people kind of like, I mean, I don't mind high, yield fermentation beers. I don't have any problem with that. But the problem is if the alcohol is affecting the flavours too much, then yes, that's where I will say, no, that's not working. I've got to be honest. So yeah, so my view is give it a go. You might like this. This might be more your cup of tea, but it's not really so much mine because it's affecting the flavours. I like the taste of beer. I like the taste of malts and hops and grains and slightly kind of acidic and things. All these different types of flavours you get in beers, the kind of more traditional standard flavour. I like all that. I mean, my wife was asking me a couple of days ago, like, do you actually like the taste of beer? Because she had a taste of it, and then she's like looking at me thinking, do you actually like the taste of beer? Because obviously what she drank, what she thought was absolutely horrid and putrid. I said, well, I'll be totally honest, I do. I don't drink for the alcohol. I don't drink for the effect of alcohol. I actually drink for the flavour of the beer. So if I'm drinking beer, it's because I enjoy beer. If I'm drinking whiskey, it's because I actually enjoy the flavour of whiskey. It's not to do with the alcohol. It's to do with the flavours, and of course, depending on what flavours I'm into. I also like wine. I like lots of different alcoholic drinks. But I like the flavour of the drinks. It's not to do with the alcohol. I don't look at the alcohol and think, well, that's going to be a good one because it's high. That doesn't come into it with me. What comes into me is what the flavours are there. And unfortunately, if you have alcohol that's affecting the flavours that are there, I mean, if you went to all that hard work of making a beer with all them lovely flavours in it, but you brewed it as a high yield fermentation beer, and of course the high alcohol is now affecting them flavours, and I'm thinking you're kind of undoing all the good work, and it's kind of sad in some ways. So yes, but my view is give it a go. It's a nice beer. Unfortunately, I find the alcohol is a bit too overpowering. You might find it different, so that's why I'm saying is give it a go. But for me, it's a 6 out of 10. It's a 330ml bottle. It's 10.5%. It's roughly about £2.50 to £3 a bottle. So, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.